Hart here breaking down this 4-game NBA slate on DraftKings. There is a ton of news to go over. If you guys did not see, KD has been traded to the Suns, and the Suns are playing tonight. So there is just a ton of news to go over. Going to be talking through some of my favorite early look core plays, who we can target with these trades that are going on, all that good stuff in this slate breakdown for tonight's 4-game slate. So make sure to hit that like button, check out my socials linked down below, and I'll see you guys in the breakdown. Before we get into the breakdown, I just want to recap my lineups from last night as well as my price picks video. You can check out my Twitter here at Hart DFS. But as you guys can see, it was another clean 2-0 sweep there on price picks plays. Both Fox and Green hit the over there, so we're 6-1 in the last 3 videos picks. Should be 7-0, but Ja kind of screwed us last game. But yeah, can't complain about 6-1, coming off another 2-0 sweep there. So hope you guys tailed and made some money last night. But in terms of my lineup, I did not build my lineup around the fact of that Utah, Lakers, and Minnesota trade. And if you didn't, you really got screwed. You had no chance of winning because Sexton and Noel were super low owned and absolutely smashed. So yeah, I didn't because I was busy working out. Didn't really care about that trade. And my lineup still did decent. I mean, Nato got me 34. LeVert was decent, 31. Osman, Seti, really, dude, 23 minutes, 3 of 13. Okay. He had 15. Grant Williams was fantastic there, 36. Porzingis, fantastic, 57. He started off super slow. I was extremely frustrated because he had like 5 fantasy points in the first quarter and like 15 at halftime, and then he absolutely exploded in the third and fourth quarter, which is nice to see. Jalen Green, surprised he was not way more owned than this. I mean, in a fantastic matchup, highest scoring game of the slate, and he was only 47%, or excuse me, only 11% owned. Got almost a 50 bomb. And then really, Jaylen Brown, LaMelo Ball, both 9%. You'd think one of these times I get a guy under 10% ownership, a superstar, they're going to smash for me. Every single time, what happens? Injury, or they have the worst game ever. Jaylen Brown, 1 fantasy point in the first quarter, what happens? Gets injured in the second quarter, doesn't come back. 10 fantasy points at 9% ownership. LaMelo Ball, 9% ownership. Who's he playing? Oh, the Wizards. Great matchup here. What does he have? 23 fantasy points at half? You know, not the best, not the worst. What does he finish with? 30. The dude had 2 fantasy points the whole entire second half until the last 3 minutes of the game. It's just stuff like that it just pisses me off so much. So this lineup didn't cash. And then my other lineup was just a riskier one. It's pretty much the same core. Neto, LeVert, Osman, Grant Williams, Porzingis. But then I switched the bottom half. I went with Poole, Butler, and Irving. I want to get super risky with Kyrie and just see, because he had a 50-point game in his Nets debut, so I wanted to see if he's going to come out and be super aggressive on the Mavs. And yeah, Poole was great. Butler was decent. Kyrie was fine. I got 310. I got my money back with $1 extra, so nothing huge, but yeah, I mean, didn't really build around the fact that a huge trade happened between the Lakers, Minnesota, and Utah, so didn't really have a shot of getting much higher if you didn't play Noel or Sexton. And then moving on to tonight's slate, this 4-game slate, obviously the huge news is KD and the Suns are now together. KD's now on the Suns. They traded away Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, so a ton of news. I know I had a video out last night for this slate, but I just took it down because now it's just irrelevant because of the news that came out. So slate breakdown, starting off with Denver and Orlando. Once again, Jokic here, not sure why he's 11K, that's just an automatic lock. Only thing that could really hurt this is if it's games a blowout, which a little bit of risk, but yeah, I mean, Jokic there, 11,000, just flat out lock him into your lineups. If Murray plays, I really like him there at 8,200. He still has huge upside playing along Joker, so you can play them both. I think it's a great way to get different because not a lot of people will do that, so I do like playing both of them together. If he's out, then Bruce Brown will probably start. Then it's more of just a bump to guys like KCP, Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Bruce Brown to, do a little bit more of the offense. Jokic will be a little bit more aggressive as well. But yeah, if Murray's in, then it's just Murray and Jokic. The rest of the guys are just solid secondary options, and that's about it. You can take a shot on some value guys if, Jamal Murray's out, like a Konkar, a Brown. But that's really it. Ish Smith, Peace Awesome, backup point guard Brown. Point guard run with Jamal Murray out. He'd probably see 15 to 20. The game blew out, so he saw like 10 more minutes. But yeah, he'd be okay value if Jamal Murray's out. But it really is just the main 2 guys for me. On the Magic side, these guys are just okay. Like if I had to get to someone, it'd probably be Fultz. He'd probably be my favorite. I don't mind, landing on Wendell, even though there's some foul trouble guarding Jokic. Paolo and Franz are there. They both have upside, but they've just all been pretty bad. I mean, these starters should see, Paolo will see close to 35. Franz will see around 34-ish, depending on how he's playing. Wendell, the same thing. If he's not in foul trouble, he should see about 32-ish. Same thing with Fultz, should see around for 34. So they're giving the starters a good run. But they also have a few guys back. Chuma's in the G League, but he might get called back up. Mo Wagner's there. Jalen Suggs is there. Cole Anthony's there. They have Bull. They have Gary Harris. They have Jonathan Isaac. So there's just a ton of guys. Really, just if you're going to pick someone, I just stick with probably Fultz or Cole Anthony, but that's really it. On Phoenix side, obviously the huge news is KD is now on this team. Devin Booker's out. Bridges is gone. Campaign's gone. Devin Booker's out. Bridges, they traded him. Campaign's just still out. Cam Johnson, they traded him. Shamet's just still out. And then Jay Crowder, they traded him. So the Suns are super, 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 super shorthanded. So Ayton looks fantastic there at 7-9. He's becoming like not a must play, but a huge, huge core play. Same thing with CP3. They're going to have to carry this offense. And with those other guys out, like Mikal Bridges is a huge part of this team, especially with Devin Booker being out. Mikal Bridges was pretty much like their most consistent player in terms of defense and offensive production. So they'll probably start Torrey Craig there at 4,100. He becomes a fantastic value play. Dario Saric, I'm assuming he starts as well. And then maybe they start a guy like Damian Lee, but we're going to get a ton of value here. I'm assuming they start Chris Paul, Damian Lee, Torrey Craig, Dario Saric, DeAndre Ayton. And that would leave Saban Lee, Jock, Biyombo, Josh, and Ish coming off the bench. So, yeah, I mean, these value guys look great. They should see a good amount of minutes here. I don't think they're going to just run these starters into the ground. Ayton should see a huge amount of minutes out of set. So there's just a ton to love here on the Phoenix side. So with that in mind, I like locking in Chris Paul, I like locking in Ayton. I like locking in Damian Lee, 3,200. He should see a good amount of minutes. He's a great shooter. Obviously has a very low floor, but he should have a huge, huge ceiling here at 3,200 with just tons of offense to go around with Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges now gone. I'd say the other standout play for me would be Dario Saric if he starts. If not, I do like getting to a guy like Josh Okogie here, 3,000. He should see 15 to 20 minutes. He's super, super aggressive. He does have a huge, huge ceiling. So we'll kind of have to wait and see what the starting lineup's like. But yeah, I do like Okogie and Damian Lee is like the value plays. And I do think Chris Paul and Ayton stand out as like the top main plays. And then Saric is kind of in the middle depending on if he starts or not. So I think that's kind of how you handle Phoenix. On the Atlanta side, Trae Young looks solid. But, I mean, Evan's priority is going to be on this Phoenix side, and then you kind of get different from there. So on the Atlanta side, Trae Young's a decent spend-up option. DeJounte's priced about right. Capella's there, 5,900. He's just not seeing a ton of minutes. He's just, kind of staying around that 25 to 28 mark. So not interest for me. Bogdan's an okay GPP play. He should see anywhere from 25 to like 33 minutes, depending on how he's shooting the ball. John Collins is an interesting, pivot play. I don't think there's a need to get to him at his price tag just because of like the value that's opening up. You'll probably want to jam in better guys, but he's there, 5,200. Does have a ceiling, but he just hasn't been aggressive at all offensively recently, so it's hard to trust him. DeAndre Hunter's always a decent value play there at 4,900. And now Congo, you could get to him as a value play, but he's seen about 20 minutes, and just in terms of value, the best value is going to be coming from a Phoenix today. So there's not a need to jam in other value unless you want to get like contrarian. But yeah, I just stick with the Phoenix value. Moving on to the Bulls. Big news at DeMar. If he's in, I like getting to DeRozan and DeMar just as contrarian plays. Zach's fine as well, but I don't love the price tags in any of them. But if DeMar's out, Vooch becomes a very, very solid play. Zach becomes a very, very solid play. Pat Williams does become a solid play. Like he should be more aggressive. He just kind of got screwed last game. In terms of having to guard Triple J, the whole offense was out of whack, out of sorts. Vooch was the only one who was doing well. So I do like buying back on Pat Williams, who has a solid ceiling. It'd be a better spot here against Brooklyn than it was the Grizzlies. So I don't mind him. And then the news for the guards is Caruso. If he's out, obviously it's just more minutes for a guy like Ayo who should start. Kobe White should see decent minutes off the bench, at least 20. Same thing with Dragic. He'll see about 15-ish. If Caruso's back, he should start alongside Ayo. And then Kobe White will see still like 15 to 20 minutes off the bench. He'd be okay. Drummond, always worth a look in tournament options. But, his minutes are very, very risky. And then on the Brooklyn side, obviously the big news, KD's gone. Who else did they trade? There's that and TJ Warren. So not much has changed on the Brooklyn side. We're still probably gonna have Dinwiddie start, Cam Thomas, Claxton, I'd assume Ben Simmons, and either Royce O'Neal or DFS. In terms of all their price tags, I really think Dinwiddie and Claxton are the only standout plays for me. Adding Dinwiddie into this offense, that's just a huge like usage drop for a guy like Cam Thomas. I expect Cam Thomas still to be aggressive and shoot the ball, but you obviously can't expect another 40-point game from him. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, with Dinwiddie back, it really hurts the upside there of Cam Thomas at that price tag of 7,800. So I don't think there's a need to get to them. I'd rather take that shot on Dinwiddie or Claxton. The rest of the team's just kind of there. No real interest. Sure, you get to get Joe Harris as like a risky jet value play, but don't love that. Then moving on to Milwaukee and the Lakers. Milwaukee side, honestly, the only interest I have is Giannis, 12-3. Drew Holiday always makes for a decent contrarian option. He should see, close to 36 minutes if the game's close. But yeah, no real need to get to him. Lopez should see about 30-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more to guard AD. He has upside, but I don't want to chase that last game. Middleton, you can always take a GPP dart throw on him. The minutes did go up by 2 minutes. I don't think we'll get any news if he's coming off a minutes limit yet. Maybe they raise it to 30. If they do, you could definitely take a shot on him at 5,500. But if not, it's risky going to him. And then there's really no value for me. Ingles is out, so maybe it's just a little bit more of a minutes bump for Allen, Connaughton, and maybe like one or two more for Middleton. We'll have to wait and see if there's news on that. And then the Lakers side, for me, really, it's just going to be LeBron and AD. The guys they traded for aren't going to be playing tonight, so keep that in mind. It's just going to be the normal team once again. So LeBron, AD, I think AD is a standout play to me coming off of that bad game just because it's LeBron James tonight, and that's why they lost, literally because LeBron just wanted to chase that number, and they lost because of it. So I think LeBron's a decent spin-up play. I prefer getting to AD, but it's really hard to get into those guys when it's like Jokic is there, 11,000, who has a better floor and an even higher ceiling. So they make it like decent pivot plays off of them, but I don't mind playing them, one of them together with Jokic. And then in terms of like the rest of the team, you could get to Dennis Schroeder. He should see some more minutes now that Russ is gone. He'll see about, close to mid-30s. He's okay at 5,000. And that's really it. So that is the slate breakdown. As I said, the huge news is that KD news because it really shakes up the Suns, makes them super, super depleted. So right now, obviously we don't have the starting lineup news, but I'm assuming Josh Okogie at some point will get, 15 to 20 minutes. Maybe they start him. Who knows? We'll have to wait for that news. But I really, really like, the Suns for obvious reasons. They're going to be very shorthanded. Their stars look great. Their value looks great. So I think you guys should build your lineup around that. Once we get the injury news, the starting lineup news, build your lineup around the Suns and then jam in the kind of the spin up plays. If you want to get super, super contrarian, you could actually do the value of the Suns and then just jam in just like more of like a mid-range build, a balanced build. But yeah, I think it's more just stars and scrubs once we get the news that those Sun guys are in or out, and kind of go from there. So if you guys like this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button. I will have a price picks video out later today as well. There's not a lot on the board because of that trade. So it's really I think it's just Denver and Orlando right now and some of the Atlanta guys, and that's really it. But yeah, this is kind of the early look core plays. Paul, Damian Lee, maybe Okogie. That's more of a question mark right now. So it's just Paul, Lee, Ayton, and Jokic. And I'll see you guys later today on my Twitter and my free Patreon write-up. Peace.